Hi everyone, 안녕하세요 여러분. My name is Shandor. Welcome to Cinemarea, where we only talk about South Korean movies and TV shows. This is day 6 of Korean Theaters Week. It's a Saturday. Let's follow yesterday's principle. Let's not get too heavy. Let's talk about the 2010 action, thriller, sci-fi, comedy, what the f*** movie called Hunters or 초능력자. The movie stars Go Soo and Kang Dong-won, and it's about a guy who has psychic powers and literally can control everyone he sees. Then one day he comes across Go Soo's character and he seems to be unaffected by his abilities. Somebody dies because of that, so Go Soo is hellbent on tracking this guy down because apparently no one else can. Once again, this is a film that probably no one's heard about outside of Korea. Prove me wrong, please. Oh, please prove me wrong. So I'm really happy that I came across this. Now, in my introduction, I put this movie into like 4 different categories. So the question is this really a thriller? Yes. Although this is definitely a much lighter movie than, say, like Memoir of a Murderer. But when it gets serious, it gets a lot more serious than an average action movie. So yeah, this is very much a thriller, but also much, much more. I was genuinely surprised by the movie's humor, for example. It's not over-flooded with it, but when it's there, it's really, really funny. And here I have to mention another thing also. Go Soo's character has 2 sidekicks, a guy from Ghana and a guy from Turkey. Now, usually, I found that foreigners are really bad in Korean movies, but not these 2. These guys can act, and their Korean is great. I'm so glad that the movie didn't do a slacker job and just put these 2 guys into the movie for some, I don't know, forced diversity. They both did a great job. Most of the humor comes from their presence in the movie, and they aren't just useless hacks either. It was so refreshing to see. The 2 main leads were also pretty good. Like I said, Go Soo plays a normal, everyday character who just has to rise to the occasion because no one else can, not even the police. Trust me, the police cannot do anything against this guy. That's actually one of the things I love about Korean movies. They do such a great job at taking normal, everyday people and put them into situations where they become, or at least they try to become, the hero of the circumstances. And that's not always the case, of course. I mean, you can see a lot of highly trained spies and agents and policemen and soldiers in Korean movies. But when they choose normal, everyday people as their focus, usually they do a freaking great job with it. Kang Dong-won actually had a pretty difficult job in this movie because he doesn't have much lines here and he doesn't have much of a backstory. Although the movie begins with him as a child, that is something to behold. But anyway, he was still able to put some humanity into this seemingly inhuman character. And it's all by his facial expressions. Usually his words are not so kind. It's actually his presence that gives the thriller side of the movie because he's freaking ruthless. I mean, ruthless. He uses people like they're just avatars in a video game. He's able to send a horde of people after you, and he doesn't care who lives or who doesn't. Actually, I thought that the movie was really creative in that aspect because they used quite a lot of extras and they were basically choreographed. It was so much fun to watch. And also, although the movie tends to jump between action, thriller, and comedy, it's still able to keep a consistent tone. That's in part thanks to the cinematography. Somehow the color palette and the whole look of the movie is so homogeneous. But I don't mean this in a bad way, it helps to keep the consistency. And the tonal shifts are also pretty natural, they don't feel out of place, and most of all, they're highly entertaining. One thing I wish they did though was, I would have loved to get into the psychic's mind a little bit more. But it's weird because, in a way, it's not needed. When you see the opening scene and then when you think about what would you have done with these powers, it's totally understandable. His present self is a natural conclusion of the past. And like I said, Kang Dong-won is able to put some humanity into this character, but still, it would have been pretty awesome. I think it would have added another great layer to this movie. Long story short, could have used some more psychology. And also at the end there's a scene where, even though this movie has a character with psychic powers in it, you will still have to be able to suspend your disbelief. Now this does 2 things. 1, it fucks up an ending that could have been pretty dramatic and cool, and 2, it takes you right out of the movie. At least it took me out of the movie. I was a bit angry actually. It's okay now, I'm okay. And overall, even though this is a really good movie, it's not a fantastic movie or anything. Yet I'm so glad I saw it. It's always great to come across movies that are worth watching. This is definitely worth watching. I'm gonna give Hunters 78%. Apparently this was a huge hit in Korea when it came out. I wonder how many of you guys have seen this. And if you have seen this, and if you like this, please spread the word about it. We deserve good entertainment, and Korean movies are usually great entertainment. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this channel. That's it for today, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching, and please stay tuned because tomorrow we are going to conclude our marathon. See you guys tomorrow. 내일 봬요. Bye.